Well, hello, and welcome to Stop, Let's Team Up, Those Daring Defenders, Episode 9. We have made it. It is Defenders number 1. It only took 9 weeks, and we are actually in the Defenders series. And with me is Billy from A World on Fire, the All-Star Squadron Podcast, which I sing the praises of all the time. Say hi, Billy.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
How are you doing today? We both are. I am suffering COVID. That's why I sound like Froggy from the Little Rascals. So pardon my head cold. It's not a bad case, but I've been quarantined. My wife and the dogs have fled the house. It's just me and 2 cats. But we're here to talk Defenders number 1. We've gotten through it, and I asked to have Billy's a Defenders fan. I think that. Let me ask you, why are you a Defenders fan? Is it because of the Doc Strange connection?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was a huge Doctor Strange fan, and then I thought, well, I just have to kind of read everything I can with him, and I just gradually went right to the Defenders and absolutely love the Defenders. It's on the same level for me as the Doctor Strange series from the Bronze Age.
Really?
The Defenders is right there. Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's a good take, because as I'm doing these, I'm realizing which ones I read in real time when they came off the rack, and I'm going to show my age, and I think I figured it out. It is, hold on, I want to look at the cover. I've got my essentials here. Oh, yeah, I think the first issue I ever read, I'm thumbing through I love these essentials because I'm lazy. It's after the Avengers Defenders War. So it's right after that is the first one. I think the first one I read off the newsstand was the one where Nighthawk comes to help battle Nebulon.
Oh, okay, so like 13, 14, somewhere in there.
And then because I read the Avengers Defenders War after, because I started reading that's when I was reading Avengers, so I may have read them, I don't know, but it's 1972, and it's about the time we were driving from California to Pennsylvania when my dad got transferred to the Army War College, so it's in that 1972 window.
Gotcha.
So a lot of these I read when I went back and got the issues. I used to have a complete run of Defenders, except for the last from New Defenders at the end. I never had those. But now I just have the essentials and what's online. So we're talking about, we'll get to the conversation, but let me give the bare statistics of Defenders number 1. It was released May 30th, 1972. Cover date August 72. Writer Steve Englehart, when I will gush about him a little bit. Penciler Sal Buscema, which is always a good thing. Inker Frank Giacoa, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Letterer Artie Semak, editor Stan Lee, and the title of the issue is I Slay by the Stars. And let's give the lineup is the Hulk, Bruce Banner. You have to do these nowadays because there are multiple Hulks. I'm going to have to give their secret identity, their real names. Hulk, Bruce Banner, Submariner, Namor, Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange, and the antagonist is Necrodamus, and the Undying Ones, and the Nameless Ones, and the new one, Demon of the Dark. And this all ties into the end of the Doctor Strange series, and it's why coming up to this, I covered all those issues that are in the essentials, the Doctor Strange issues, the Submariner, and the Hulk issues, because it all leads to this.
Yeah.
While stalking through the woods, the Hulk is suddenly stopped by the Submariner, who falls out of the sky. Finding the Prince of the Sea unconscious and trapped in a strange energy shield, the Hulk travels to New York to seek the aid of Doctor Strange, the only person the Brute thinks can help him. Taking Strange back to Namor's body, they meet Necrodamus, who reveals to them that he has brought them all together on the orders of the Undying Ones. He plans to sacrifice Namor when the stars are in the right alignment. He then vanishes, promising to return, and leaving Strange and the Hulk to figure out how to save their ally. They cannot find a way to free him, and soon the Submariner mysteriously disappears. Searching the area, they enter a cave and find Necrodamus and Namor. Necrodamus is waiting for the precise star alignment to sacrifice Namor to the Undying Ones. Hulk attacks Necrodamus, who has now grown in size and strength. but the foe is able to strike back with his mystical dagger. Meanwhile, Strange is able to awaken Namor, who then breaks free from the inside. The two come to Hulk's aid and delay Necrodamus long enough for him to miss the star's alignment. Failing to make the sacrifice at the right time, he disappears, but promises to return. After the battle, Namor explains that he was actually struck down by the Silver Surfer. This surprises Doctor Strange, and the Defenders set out to search for the Sentinel of the Spaceways. And that is another great synopsis from the Marvel database. I love this site. I do. They have great basic facts. It's up to date. They pick really good panels to show in here, and I like it. So check it out, folks. Well, folks, that's the story. It's I'm going to start on this one. Well, no, let me start with you, Billy. What do you think of this issue as an individual issue?
So I forgot how good this issue really is. When I think Defenders in my brain, I always vault Steve Gerber to the top, and I think rightly so.
Yeah, I do not disagree with placing him above Roy and Steve, and I'm a huge Englehart fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't think this comic really hits its stride until Gerber's writing it.
Yeah, totally agree. But this one really, I forgot how much I liked it, really, to be honest with you. It's really, really good how, the team is finally starting to sort of come together here. And I love all the callbacks. I mean, all the way back to that Doctor Strange late Silver Age series, with Roy. There's callbacks all the way back to, like 183, which is great.
Yeah, and I like that because it's Englehart. I think Englehart is like certain writers later on that I'm fans of, Kurt Busiek, Fabian Nietzsche, Marv Wolfman, who love, or like Grant Morrison, he's a good example, and James Robinson, who love continuity, are not afraid of continuity. So I think Englehart taking over this book after its 3-issue tryout from its creator, Roy Thomas, who is a master of the Super Team book, does a real good job in tying it all together. That the Nameless One and the Omegatron and all this stuff, which are important to these 3 and 4 heroes, because we're next issue Silver Surfer is going to be in, are all important to this story. And I think he's tied up all that prequel stuff in a nice bow and given you the structure of what this team's going to be about for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Because he's replaced by Gerber sometime relatively quickly after the Avengers Defenders War.
Yeah, I think those two Defenders issues, I actually covered them not too terribly long ago on my Magazines and Monsters show where the team has to fight Magneto and the Brotherhood. I think that's Len Wein in there, and then right after that is when Gerber shows up.
God, you know what? I haven't read those in so long, but that you said it was Len, it makes more sense that it's Len.
Yeah.
And that it's a filler between Englehart and Gerber, because I've always felt that two-parter was really kind of odd.
It's weird, yeah. They're very strange.
It is not. It's not the tone of the two books. But I love this story, and I'm a huge Sal Buscema fan. I mean, I just cannot sing his praises. There's a simplicity to his work, but there's such energy. He has the best punches.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see those memes on Twitter all over the place where someone gets punched, and you see in the background is someone at the end of this huge, gigantic swing, and then there's this person flying off their feet out of the panel.
Yeah.
It's like his trademark. And he draws the best Hulk face. It is just, but I like all of this. It is a vibrant issue. It is full of action. It is full of character. And it is because it is a Silver Age comic. Or is this Bronze? When's Bronze start?
Yeah, I would say Bronze, 71.
71. So Bronze is that, I don't want to say it's writer-centric, because these are done somewhat the Marvel style. I don't know how much Englehart. It's hard to know who was using the Marvel style at this point and who wasn't. I do not see Englehart being a heavy user of the Marvel style. I think he was doing heavy plotting.
Well, I think when he was doing the Doctor Strange stuff with Frank Brunner, they were very heavily Marvel method, or at least a very heavy collaborative. But after that, I believe he was strictly, movie style script. Here you go, Sal. Here you go, John. Whoever was the artist.
It's hard to imagine. I don't think Sal Matt Kind. I mean, there's one thing about Sal is he is a pro. That this guy could knock out a bunch of comics. And there was a bad comment in the old days of what's the difference between the Buscema brothers? Well, John's good and fast, and Sal's just fast, and that's unfair because yeah, it's really unfair because one, they're totally different styles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're both two of the best comic artists in Marvel in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Sal's a great inker because he inks a couple of the Ross Andrew Marvel features. He's a really good inker.
Yeah, absolutely.
His inks on Barry Windsor Smith in Conan.
Yep.
Man,
yeah.
They're beautiful. And but his action, he is pretty much the Defender's artist for the first 2 years or more.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
at least
is he the main? He's the main penciler up until Giffen.
I think so, and he was there till Gerber left, I believe, and Gerber left around issue 40 maybe. So
yeah, And he did a lot of great Marvel team ups.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Spectacular Spider-Man was his book too. I mean, he had a lot of books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this one, and I'm not that's why I'm glad you're on this because this one this story deals a lot with Doc Strange stuff. I was never a reader. The only Doc Strange I ever read religiously was the Englehart Marshall Rogers.
Okay, yeah,
because I just love anything Englehart Marshall. Their Batman's one of my favorite. Their Silver Surfer, some of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I did love their Doc Strange together. I think Marshall Rogers really is an underrated artist sometimes. I don't think people realize how good he was and all the great stuff he did. But I wanted you on because you know the mystical part. See, I didn't read the mystical comics.
Yeah, this is funny because this is, it's the Defenders #1, but it still very much feels like a Doctor Strange comic.
It is, and having read the 9 issues that led up to it, you know what I mean? That I'm seeing this is Steven needing help from his friends. But I've also felt that you feel that this is earned because you've seen a friendship and a bond over those 9 issues between Namor, the Hulk, and Doctor Strange, and the Silver Surfer to some extent. Because originally it was supposed to be the Titans 3, and then Stan didn't want them using Silver Surfer or whatever, and that's why the name change, and why Stephen Strange is in it. And I think it's for the best. I think they don't really find the best lineup until, Englehart starts fiddling with it. He brings in Hawkeye. He brings in Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, yeah.
Brings in the Black Knight. If he had left the Black Knight in it, I think it would have been great. But he starts trying people out, and then he plays with the non-team thing a bit, and then Gerber goes all in on the non-team by having the regular guest stars. But how does this hold up as a supernatural Doctor Strange comic to you?
Oh, I think it holds up quite well, just simply because of all the callbacks, to previous, not only, Defender stories here, but, like we said, it's Doctor Strange has been dealing with this foe since probably 1968, 1969 in there.
Was his book canceled? How long was it gone? Was it gone for 5 or 6 years?
Not quite that long. I think the last issue, if I remember correctly, because they took over the numbering of Strange Tales. Yeah. And made it just Doctor Strange, and that was Roy Thomas, and then we had a lot of really good Gene Colan in there as well.
Oh God, yeah, well.
Oh, it's incredible, yeah. And then
I have thumbed through I'm a big fan of masked Doctor Strange because I just love Gene Colan's art.
Yeah, that's a good one, and I will say for the purists out there, some of them get a little cranky when people say the mask. It's technically his face.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a very convoluted story, but there was someone else masquerading as Doctor Strange, and there was a story where he couldn't exist in the same universe with the same face, so he changed his face actually to look like that insane mask.
I know, because I've never really read them. As a kid, I just thought it was it's one of those covers I wish I had a print of it on my wall. I have a print of
there is a blacklight poster. They're insanely expensive.
because they're actually vintage, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you're gonna pay for one that's in an okay shape, $500. Yeah, they're crazy.
Oh my God, I could imagine. I think my brother may have had one. I think my brother Huey may have had one. He's a huge Doctor Strange fan.
Yeah, those are crazy, crazy expensive. But if you can get them, find them somewhere, get them because.
Why they put them back out? They're doing those blacklight Funkos like crazy right now. But okay, see, because I like this. I have enjoyed this arc, reading it one issue a week. Kind of out of order because I've had you on, and now I've had you on here, and I had Ron from Fantastic Comic Fans do feature one because he, like you, is a huge Defenders fan. It was his campaigning when I was picking what Marvel comic I was going to do as a weekly. He was the one that promoted Defenders, and I think a lot of people were like, yes, do the Defenders. But I like this plot. I like Necodamus, and I think it's because of I really think it's really Sal's art sells this story.
Oh, absolutely. It's great. Yeah.
There are a couple pages that I really wanted to point out. The scenes where Necodamus is in the background and he confronts. It's page 5. That little troll face, and you see all the flat. See, that's what I like about Bronze and Silver Age and Bronze comics is there's callbacks. We see everything that's happened in the last 9 issues. Doctor Strange with the face, okay? All of it is done, and they take 3 or 4 pages to do it. And then on the top of 9, you realize that Stephen's strange use of magic has started to the Omegacron to start counting down again.
Yeah, that's another callback.
Yeah, because all of this is called back again and again and again throughout. Whenever someone reboots Defenders, this sometimes gets brought back up. Omegatron and what is it? Yandroth,
yeah.
Yandroth come back and come back and come back. And it is such a good storytelling. And it's as much as I love Roy, I'm glad Steve Englehart wrote this. I am a fan of Steve Englehart. As much as I think Roy is so important to team books, I really do love 70s Steve Englehart. His Avengers is some of the best ever still.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be covering 2 issues of his Justice League with Ron in an upcoming episode. That stuff. His Silver Surfer was amazing. His Batman was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But he knows how to write a team book, and he really writes this one differently than he does, say, the Avengers. And he's doing them simultaneously for over a year. Year and a half, or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have a favorite moment in this?
Well, yeah, I definitely – one of the things I do love in this comic, for sure, is the fact that, you've been talking about the Marvel feature stuff, but the Hulk is still not trusting Doctor Strange. And I do love that, where he doesn't know what's going on with Namor, but he's like, I'm not – he's not the very smart Hulk here, obviously. He's kind of like the Hulk smash Hulk. But he's smart enough to realize he needs help in figuring out what's going on with Namor. And although he doesn't love Doctor Strange, he thinks he might be able to help him. So he seeks him out for help. And I do love that about it, that, the Hulk, like I said, he's Hulk smash Hulk, but he does have a bit of wits about him that he knows somebody else with a little more, thought process needs to help him figure out what's going on here. But Englehart was great with starting the issue off with a mystery, and then we don't find out part of that mystery until the very last page, like you said, when they say, "Oh, it's the Silver Surfer, and let's go find him." Oh, I love that.
I know. It's I like in this era that there's a lot of not narration, but there's dialogue and there's conversation and action all mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get a higher page. These are higher page count stories, but it's something that I find in modern comics is missing depending on who the writer is.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are writers. I'm a big Grant Morrison fan. There's a lot going on in Grant Morrison comic. You need to pay attention to what's being said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been reading his Seven Soldiers on and off for the last couple weeks, and it's some deep stuff, man. It's not a quick read.
Yeah.
But there's stuff going on in this, and I agree. I like this version. This is a version of the Hulk because I wasn't reading the Hulk regularly. So Defenders Hulk was my Hulk for years, and he's more the man-child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the Hulk. He is Hulk smash, but he's also like a little kid, like the Frankenstein monster in the Universal movie.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean? That he is gentle. He's nice to the little deer that's got Kyles, and then Yondu, whatever his name.
The head man.
I love the headman. I love the headman.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
It is. I'm listening to fell behind and tighten up the defense. So I've been listening to Hub and Corey talk about it, and it is silly. It's the Gerber stuff, folks. When we get to the Gerber stuff, I'm going to have a blast. That's ways away, but it's a blast because it is, one, it's Gerber, so it's pure fun, and it's political satire. And he and Englehart write the Hulk so well. I think I like this version of the Hulk. I like this version of Submariner, and I like how the three, I think Englehart and I think Thomas did it too, they really understand these big four and then Valkyrie. I understand why they kind of write Submariner. I don't know why they wrote Submariner out other than it was preference. Because I think he works, and I think Silver Surfer works, but it seems that relatively quickly, I mean, within a year, but Namor and Surfer are gone.
Yeah.
And I've never really understood why, other than maybe the writer was like, I can't. I don't think it's Namor had a book this whole time. He may have, did he still have his own solo book?
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was actually pretty good too. There's some really good stuff in there, and then especially the artwork. But I think too, like you've said before, sometimes Lee was a little protective of Silver Surfer, people using him more than just once or twice here and there. I don't think he wanted him to be part of any long-standing book.
I can get that. I think everybody who's written him has done a good job. But Stan, I think some of Stan's best stuff is that Silver Surfer stuff he did with John.
Oh, and it's gorgeous too. My gosh.
It's John. It's John. Who is that? A Palmer inked book?
I thought maybe some of it might be Dan Adkins.
Okay, that's good. I like Dan Adkins on it.
Yeah. Oh, he was an excellent inker too. Yeah, Pennsylvania guy too.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. He
well,
was,
Sal's a Virginia guy.
Yep.
Sal lives in Northern Virginia, where I grew up. I have a friend who I think he wasn't sure if he met him, but he used to do community theater at a theater a friend of mine worked at as a kid.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he's a nice guy. I've never met him. It's weird. In all the years, he's still with us. He's in his 90s.
Yeah. He's still, every once in a while he'll still do like a signing at a store or something like that. I don't know that he does conventions anymore, but he'll still do a store signing once in a blue moon. I'll see. Yeah,
I would like to get something signed by him. At least meet him and just say thanks, because I do love him so much, man. Every time, I think he's an underrated creator in Marvel. I think true Marvel fan, especially if you're a Spidey fan of this era, because he did so much of it, and this Defenders. So when did you become a Defenders reader? Let me ask you that, because I like these stories. So was it? I mean, you're a little younger than I am.
It was definitely after I had read the Doctor Strange 74 series. I think that series concluded in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Before, and then it went to that, in my opinion, awful Volume 2 of Strange Tales, and then Roy started up in I think 88 maybe with that Sorcerer Supreme series, which I'm not a huge fan of that series either. But
I don't think I've even read that stuff.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think Roy and his wife Dan had some good ideas in there, and there are some decent stories in there, but it just started to go down a
Is
road
this
of
prior to Englehart's? Yeah, because Englehart's is in the late 80s, isn't it?
Oh no, Englehart, his Doctor Strange stuff was Marvel premiere in the early 70s here, and then the first so his stuff is right after this early Defenders work.
What about the Marshall Rogers stuff, though? Isn't that?
That was
He came back to do it, didn't he?
Yeah, I think there was some. I'm not sure if that's Englehart or not when Marshall Rogers. That might have been Roger Stern. Who was? Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna do while we're thinking. Let me Google.
Yeah. I think Marshall Rogers came along in the issue numbers of like the 50s and 60s in there for that Doctor Strange 1974.
Well, no, because I think it is Englehart because Englehart uses the time travel part in his West Coast Avengers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was definitely doing West Coast Avengers there in the late 80s.
Yeah, what it was is because he has Doctor Strange go back to the pier. But yeah, he has Doctor Strange go back to Egypt, where the FF in their first time travel story, he's in the background.
Oh yeah. That's like issue like 50 something or 60 something. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yep. Yeah, that's like 83, 84, I think, somewhere in there. 85, maybe at the latest.
No, it is Roger Stern.
I thought Stern had done that by then. But yeah, Marshall Rogers did some good stuff in there. That, I think, if I remember correctly.
Well, Roger Stern's one of those guys that I think he's.
Oh, he's great.
He's underrated sometimes.
He's great, yeah.
Because
he's a great writer. And then you figure all the way up until the late 90s there, he was still active because he helped with Avengers Forever. He helped research all that for Kurt Busiek.
Yeah, I love that. Kurt Busiek fixing all the crap that... I'm a big Byrne fan, but I do not... I think his thing about fixing other people's continuity, because he didn't like it, always the crap out of me. Because the Celestial Madonna story is a masterpiece. And
I love it.
Like it. And then Busiek had to go write an entire miniseries fixing the... Because I'm not a big fan of Byrne's Vision Quest.
I'm a bigger fan of...
Avengers.
I'm a much, much, much bigger fan of John Byrne's artwork than I am his writing. And that's not to say that I think his writing's crap. I just, to me, when I look at his artwork, especially with his X-Men stuff, that he did with Chris Claremont, to me, that is the pinnacle of John Byrne. I'm not a really big fan of his ideas and his storytelling. So that is what it is.
Well, yeah, he likes to reset it out back to his childhood, which... I like some of his Superman, but I think the post-crisis Superman gets better once he's gone. Mm-hmm. Because you've got Ordway and Wolfman and Louise Simonson.
Yeah.
Yeah, a better group of people. And Dan Jurgens, who can really get it. I like that because I didn't read a lot of Silver Age Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love I got my Superman fixed through Legion. So.
All right.
But overall, I love this. This is a great first issue for a series. I like this. But we're back in the old days where they would give you tryouts, and they gave, this is an extended, they did the Marvel features. I mean, and honestly, the Silver Surfer 34 and 35 are really tryouts for a team book right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just alter what the team book's going to be. And I like that. I wish they did more of that nowadays. I have read the Al Ewing Defenders that have been coming out, and I really like them a great deal. I like Javier Rodriguez's art a great deal. But I think Al Ewing understands the oddness of Defenders, and he writes very odd comics. I mean, they're a little more in the mystical and the high-end sci-fi, but they're stunningly beautiful. But I think he kind of gets it. Have you read those more recent?
I have not, no.
I mean, they're very Doctor Strange heavy, and the team is very much a non-team in what they put together. Cloud and Gargoyle are in it.
I like Gargoyle.
I do too. I really do I love Isaac. Isaac was one of my favorite characters of that era.
That 4-issue limited series that he had was really good.
Who did the art in that? Was it Baker?
Mark Badger, maybe?
Mark Badger, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved him as a character, that he was an old man.
That's awesome.
It was so good. But I check them out. I mean, if they're on the app. If you got the app, check them out. They're worth reading. I like Al Ewing. He writes very cerebral stuff. And some of his stuff. He also wrote a run of Doctor Who comics for Titan that I didn't realize until about 6 issues. I was like, why is this so good? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wow.
That's Al Ewing. That's why it's so weird and good. Oh, never mind. Because I just read Doctor Who comics out of reflex. And there was an artist on that book I liked, so I was just kind of buying it for the artist. So, did you follow Defenders? Did you go back and get a run of it and read it religiously as a kid?
Well, I actually, as a young adult, absolutely. And I just recently, within the last 2 years, finally got my hands on a reader copy of issue number 1. So that completed me from 1 to, I think, 122, 25, somewhere in there, because I don't care for new Defenders. As far as I'm concerned, Defenders ended when it changed names.
It was just such a bad pick of team. It was just lazy.
Yeah, it just got away from what it had been.
Yeah, see, what I did is I went during early COVID. I got I had the first 3 essentials. I went and got all the essentials, and I got them cheap. I got them for each like about $6.
Good deal.
Some essentials are expensive as hell.
Yes.
But I had to buy. Since I wanted the run, and I was in the middle of I was rereading it, and I got through volume 3. But I went ahead and bought, and I had to buy the last 2 years worth of issues because they didn't finish it.
Yeah.
And it's some bad, someone told me that it's actually the last arc's not that bad, but Don Perlin is on that book for way too long.
Yeah, it's, somewhere in the late, before we got to issue 100, I do like most of the writing. J.M. DeMatteis there, I like most of his stuff in there as far as writing. But yeah, I feel the artwork was a little inconsistent there, and it can throw you off.
Yeah, it's not as engaging because you have some great artists on it. You have Buscema, and Klaus Janson doing some really good inks on Buscema. His stuff looks really good. And then you've got I love early Keith Giffen.
Yeah,
I love Keith Giffen.
Very Kirby. So I like it.
Oh my God, man! His Challengers of the Unknown is worth reading. There's this, and there's something else I read recently that I forgot he did early on. His Challengers it's Jerry Conway writing it, and if you've never read it, it's from about this era. It's the original Challengers plus June plus Deadman and Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen a few of those. Absolutely. Yep.
They're beautiful. And they're a lot of fun. So that's it. I mean, that's it for this week, folks. It's just, we're just going over these. These are fun comics. The reason I'm glad Defenders won the vote to be my Marvel comic that I'm going to go from beginning to end. Because there's a lot of fun stuff in it, and I'm reliving them. And I try only read one a week. I don't read ahead. With guests, I'm juggling a little bit. I can't wait to record. I have not recorded my episode about Marvel Feature 3, but you will have heard it by now, and you will hear what glee I have that it is very much the precursor to the Gerber era. It really strikes me as a very Gerber-esque plot. But you'll have already heard me talk about this. But Billy, what do you have to promote? Let's hear about your podcast. Podcast, you're plural. You're like me.
Yeah, so definitely, at the forefront of that is, you're one of your favorites that you promote all the time, and I thank you for that, which is A World on Fire, an All-Star Squadron podcast, which by the time this comes out, it's slowly getting towards the end. I think there might only be 3 episodes left of the, the main book there. And then I also have another show, and it's on iTunes and all that sort of stuff called Magazines and Monsters, which I talk about old school sci-fi horror films on there and just, regular garden variety superhero comics. And I've also started 2 new shows, one centered around The Brave and the Bold and Bob Haney.
Yeah, Zany Haney. I was having to describe Zany Haney to a friend the other day, and they were, why do you call him that? It's like if you read his comic books, you would understand it.
Yeah, so he's one of my favorites. So anything Brave and the Bold and Zany Haney's on the table with that that show, The Brave and the Bob, and that's every other Wednesday that's going to come out. And then every other Monday in between is The Bronze Age of Horror, where I talk about nothing but horror comics and Marvel, DC, Charlton, Skywald, anything basically from late 60s, 70s, and early 80s is on the table with that one. And I've already covered Tomb of Dracula #1.
I listened to that because that is one of the few horror comics I ever read. I think Wolfman Colin's Tomb of Dracula is a masterpiece.
Yes, and I actually started coming out with Marvel Masterworks Tomb of Dracula. So anybody that missed out on the boat with singles, they're incredibly expensive right now. But you can actually get Volume 1 Marvel Masterworks Tomb of Dracula on Amazon for it's a $75 hardcover. You can get it for like $55.
Really?
So,
Is it an omnibus or is it like 12 issues?
It's a Masterworks. It's not an omnibus. It's a Masterworks. They're coming out with one every October, and so you figure that'll take about 7 years for them to finish. So the second one's already solicited, so I've already ordered that guy, and it's fantastic. The Marvel Masterworks are incredibly well made.
For this week's issue, I did Avengers 1 because it's the Avengers 9th birthday yesterday, the day before we recorded this. And the only masterwork I own is the one I bought in 1988. It's like 1988. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's beat up, but it's the Avengers. It's the first 10 issues of the Avengers. So I'm becoming an omnibus person slowly. I'm very picky now. I've been picking up.
Yes.
I also get a very Velocity Comics, folks. If you're in Richmond, go to them. They're a great comic shop, and they give me the professional discount. So I get a little bit better discount than a normal subscriber. Because I used to, at one point, I owned the comic shop, which they took when I went out of business, they took over my stock and my slot. And they're much better at running a comic shop than I ever was. So,
Epic collections too. Marvel's putting those out. Those are a great way to grab some older, seriously expensive single issue comics at a good discount. So look for those.
I wish I had started the Avenger ones when they were coming out because I'd have a whole set. But I found holes in later runs of the Avengers, like the Epting stuff toward the end, which I like. There's some of that I think it's Bob Harris wrote it.
Yep.
There's some good stuff mixed in with some really atrocious stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But the Exodus stuff and there's a couple really good storylines in there, and I'm glad they're coming out. And I also got my first two Master Kung Fu ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a good way to grab some comics too. I think they're reissuing some of them.
Yeah, I noticed that some of them. Yeah, they're starting to reissue ones because they're realizing that people are having to pay $200 and $300 for some of those first ones.
Yes, which is insane. Don't do that.
Keep stuff in print. That's my thing. Is just keep stuff in print.
Yes, do that because it's just that's crazy to be paying that kind of money.
Yeah, it is, and you're not getting it, Marvel. Yeah, that's what it gets you. I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and they put out these nice box sets of the Blu-rays of the original show that are coming out. But they do them in these beautiful cardboard book packages with a booklet and all this. But they only do a small pressing, and then they sell for $500 and $600. It's like, why don't you just make that your standard edition and sell it that way around the world? I get a kind of, we get a different cut. It's just, you're not. Yes, the print run runs out, but you're not getting any of that money. It's like when they put the George Perez Avengers thing to raise money for him. Mm-hmm. I think making it a limited edition wasn't a good idea because I don't think the fans got it. I think scalpers made a fortune, and if you had made it a 20,000 issue print run, you would have sold them all, and he would have gotten more money.
Yep, easily. Yeah, the secondary market is crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I sell some of my. I'm selling some individual issues of All-Star Comics right now, folks, because I have them in trade back. I have to really manage my space. Mm-hmm. And I'm becoming a trade back hardcover person.
Yeah. Yep.
But enough of that. But check out all of Billy's stuff. I jump in and out of your Monsters one as it's a subject because I like or something, and I did love the Tomb of Dracula one. It was really interesting. Mm-hmm. I had not read that comic. I went back and read it. I didn't realize it wasn't Marv at first.
Yeah, he came on, I think, issue 7.
Yeah, because rereading it, I went, I see the birth of, I see the ingredients of what we're gonna get, but it really, until Marv's stuff is just is so good. Oh, and thinking of that, well, I've got you. Did you read Marv and Gene Colan's Night Force for DC?
I actually have it and will be covering that as well with a guest in the near future. I'm thinking
well, good.
probably.
Since you're covering it, I was going to ask you to come on, and when I would, at some point I may cover it, because it is. I have my issues. I have never sold them. That is every time I've downsized my comic collection, that is in the this never gets sold pack. It is that good a comic.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try covering it in maybe 4 installments, maybe 5 at the most.
It's only, what, a year?
15 issues, and there was a preview as well. So it's basically like 16 issues.
Guys, folks, if you've never read it, Google it, look it up, read it. It is an amazing, it's a great concept that is well done, and I have never understood why it didn't sell better.
Yeah, it's that. Like I said, that show is going to be a lot of fun because I'm going to do Marvel, DC. DC, I'm going to be covering the post Rights and Swamp Thing, and maybe all the way into the Alan Moore stuff. Yeah, Dead
all
Man,
of that stuff's good.
All sorts of stuff, man. Dead Man from the get-go, the Spectre, Fleischer, and Aparo stuff. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, that I read that stuff as a kid, and that.
It's crazy.
You should. My mom saw one and said, "Don't give that to your little brother."
Yeah, it's crazy.
She saw it and was like, "That's like it's the only time she ever interfered." And went, "No, he's not reading that because he's going to end up having nightmares." And I think I may have, because he gave it to me at 5 or 6 or some ungodly too young age.
Oh yeah, wow. But yeah, Tomb of Dracula, Werewolf by Night, all sorts of stuff, man. I'm gonna be covering the gamut on there, so
That's
get
cool.
ready.
Cool. I pulled out my Man Wolf, the complete Man Wolf.
Yep.
Because that's one I read because of Perez, and I'm thinking about reading that while I'm in quarantine.
Oh yeah, David Anthony Kraft, George Perez, good stuff.
David Anthony Kraft, way underrated comic writer.
Yeah, super nice guy too that just passed away recently.
Oh,
yeah, he was such a nice guy. Yeah, he was such a nice guy.
His Defenders
very
is
nice
some
guy.
of the best too. I mean,
oh yeah, yep.
It's so good.
He got that book.
All right. Well, folks, that's it for us. This is an extra long one because I was lucky to get Billy to come on and talk Defenders 1 and then Gab about many things else. You can find the next episode after this. I'm not sure what it'll be because this is going to come out in 2 weeks from when I record it. Normally, I'm doing these pretty quickly. But there'll be a standard issue episode on Saturday, and then every Tuesday is Legion, and every Thursday is Defenders. You can find us on the Twitter at JSA4E. That is JSA, the number 4, the letter E. And folks, do me a favor. Be smart. Be safe. Wash your hands and wear a damn mask. I did, and I still got it. And be kind, and go read some comics.